Well, just like that, guys, week 7 is in the books. What an exciting start we had to week 7. Couldn't be better. Divisional game. Guys, we're going to jump right in. The first game for our Thursday night schedule was that Pittsburgh Steeler to Cincinnati Bengal upset. Cincinnati Bengals were able to win 33-31 behind Joe Flacco's game-winning drive, capped by a 36-yard field goal. Relax, Steeler fans. I hear you. It's a divisional game. Josh, what's your takeaway from this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals, obviously, they were not favored in this matchup, but you got the best game out of every single offensive player on the team. You got Jamar Chase, 23 targets, 16 catches, 161 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 96 yards and a touchdown. Yossi Voss, 50 yards. And then Chase Brown, 11 for 108, by far and away his base game of the season. And then Joe Flacco joining the team, 0 turnovers. They just took care of business. The defense was not stopping Jamar Chase. I mean, after 20 targets, he was still catching the ball with DBs lined up 10 yards away from him. So I don't know what they were trying to do defensively, but still only a 2-point game. And Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns in this one as well. So he responded, but they had the turnovers, and that's what led to the difference there.
Tim, Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdowns, but he threw 3 of them outside of the pocket, showing the still somewhat mobile legs of the old guy. Plus, I looked at Josh live, and when he had that bomb at the end, we call him a punt, remember? And he's like, I don't know if it's going to get to the end zone. And he threw it almost 70 yards in the air. What was your takeaway from this game?
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's D is really the story of the game, because, like that's we've talked the last few weeks about Pittsburgh maybe being one of those teams that could be there at the very end, right? When we're getting to week 16, week 17 as far as playoff seeding. And I think we kind of all agreed that Cincinnati just, I don't know if we said the word punting on the season, but when you lose your starting quarterback for 3 months and you trade for one, it's a tough, despite the talent they have. So this is a game Pittsburgh should have won, let's be honest. But as you said, Dave, divisional games, all bets are off. The defense is a story of the game. Aaron he can still play. I do wonder if he had a little bit of a vision onto this week ahead, playing his old buddies in Green Bay. I wonder if he was looking ahead, but he looked good. He did try and force a few into DK that probably he should have looked for another option. They'll be there. Pittsburgh's good. If they can tighten up that defense, I would say Steeler fans, take a deep breath. It's just one game. And Cincinnati, you have to be encouraged.
Yeah, for sure. Caleb, free agency is going to now, I keep saying free agency. Free agency has been over a long time. We won't be able. The trade deadline is going to hit in a couple weeks. Should Pittsburgh go ahead and shore up another wide receiver?
They talked about it. They probably should. Like Tim was saying, Metcalf got forced the ball a lot. There were a few plays where he kind of gave up on, so it's kind of the mutual problems where he fumbled the ball. I don't know why he let go of it, but the game overall, it did expose that what you're talking about, the Steelers needing a receiver. They have 3 tight ends on the field. Both of them scored. I believe all 3 scored, right? And Freiermuth got 2.
Yeah.
I think every touchdown was to a tight end.
Yeah, so there you go. They need a receiver. Their tight ends are great, but we never see 3 tight end sets that they're all receiving weapons. So it's kind of weird to see. And speaking of Jamar Chase, 10 yards a catch. I would hope he had 160 yards on 23 targets. And he did have some drops, and he dropped a touchdown, and could have been a bigger game for him. So a great game for him.
All right. I got 4 scores to throw at you. We can stop and talk about any one of them. Let's start off with Matthew Stafford setting an international series record, 5 touchdown passes in the win over the Jaguars. The Rams win 35-7. Caleb Williams takes care of business at home. Cleveland Browns beat the Saints 26-14. Again, a game early on looked like the Saints were in until they weren't. Probably an unexpected young Cleveland Brown team beating the Miami Dolphins 31-6 was probably a little more than any of us had thought would happen. The Mike McDaniel watch is officially on. And then finally we have the New England Patriots and Tennessee Titans. I believe we talked about revenge last week, Josh. 31-13, New England, Mike Vrabel, revenge game, mission accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans really didn't get to do much in this game. They started off, they got DK, the rookie, the touchdown, and I think they had the early lead there, but that was short-lived. DK actually led the team in receiving, and Tony Pollard was second, but Tony Pollard was second in rushing on the team. So little weird offensive game for them. There was that fumble that Cam Ward had where he was, it was like a 2-yard touchdown for the defense, but dropped back and basically gave the football to the defense. Yeah, they got rid of
Bad
Callahan,
stuff.
but there's still going to be those rookie mistakes and those mistakes from this offense that just now cut Tyler Lockett as well, which I know he wasn't a big factor of that offense, but he's
Sure.
seeing where the team's going and he's going to go and try to go somewhere else.
Caleb,
Yeah,
I know
you
you're.
see this with sorry.
Yeah, go
I can
ahead.
jump right in if you want me to. Okay, yeah.
Please.
With interim coaches, some players kind of play better than they did with the previous guy who got fired. I think that's the case. Calvin Ridley was out this game, so they were throwing to rookies and Tyler Lockett, who just got cut. So I would like to see Calvin Ridley, and I think this would happen, that they will force it to him a lot to get some chemistry with him and Ward since he's there for such a long time on a big deal, and it help Ward kind of get adjusted to the NFL more. So I think for fantasy purposes, Ridley's going to be very valuable as far as targets and yardage goes going forward. But the other team, like we're saying, is it's clearly rebuilding now. McCoy, I think's his name, the interim head coach. You can't expect anything from these guys. Just hopefully Cam Ward finishes his rookie season not injured and has gotten better from where he started at the beginning of the year.
Tim, any takeaways? I know I give you 4 games to talk about, but is there anything that really stood out?
I'll do a quick round the horn on all 4. I'll give you one takeaway from each really quickly.
Sure.
The Rams, incredibly impressive. My goodness, that is by far their most impressive win of the year, in my opinion, to go overseas and just beat a very good Jacksonville team. I was so impressed by that. The New England one, again, New England's having a good season, but look at who they're beating. So take it with a grain of salt, but they are having a good season. But I would say Cam Ward, lowest completion percentage in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So that's not encouraging. Encouraging. I went 10-4 on my picks last week, but the one I was so confident on wasn't on a game. I was so confident that a coach would be fired, and he's still employed. I don't know how. Mike McDaniel. My prediction was that the Browns would destroy or would beat Miami, and Mike McDaniel would be fired. I was half right. So I don't know how he still has a job. He shouldn't. And then my last take on Chicago, just really quickly, is 16 takeaways so far this season. 16. That's phenomenal. They had 222 rushing yards. Chicago is putting it together. And the NFC, man, look at the standings right now. There are some very good teams. Very good teams.
Very good teams. Yeah, Caleb.
Yeah, real quick, just to touch on a few things. Matthew Stafford had under 200 passing yards in this game with 5 touchdowns, so great quarterback play. And like Tim said, their best game of the season so far, and they didn't have Puka Nacua in, so pretty crazy to see. Devontae Adams had a vintage day, looked great. And then the Bears, Kevin Byard, their DB is leading the league in picks right now. He has 4 or 5 now, I think. So their defense is really playing up, and like Tim said, the NFC North looks tight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without a doubt, that division, everybody, the quarterback play is probably the best. Let's transition and talk about a quarterback. Caleb, you literally said to me this weekend, did you see Patrick Mahomes? He looks filthy. The Chiefs have averaged 31.6 points in the last 3 games. So all the naysayers worried about the Chiefs and their efficiency and their ability to do better. Well, here they are. Patrick Mahomes completed passes to 9 different receivers, Tim. Does he look like the Pat Mahomes that we know and love?
1,000,000%. Yes, the Chiefs are back. Chiefs are back. I was ready to write them off. I was ready to send them to 0-3 when they were going into New York in week 3. I really thought, and again, injuries, and that's why you take everything early season with a little bit of a grain of salt, as we've said so many times. So much of the first few weeks is like preseason. But Patrick Mahomes, when he has his weapons out there, he is as good, or he's not as good as any quarterback. He is the best quarterback in the league still.
It's worth mentioning, at least for the Raiders, Geno Smith only had 16 attempts in this game. They obviously weren't getting conversions to continue drives. But the regular season games that they've played, they've allowed 41, 40, and 31. So the defense is not playing at a high level, but also, just like this game, the offense is getting off the field very quickly and not really giving their defense a chance to recover from these short drives. So that obviously continues. They get a bye, but then they return against Jacksonville, Denver, Dallas, Cleveland, the Chargers, Denver, Philly. So outside of maybe Cleveland, all of those other teams are likely playoff teams. Currently, the Broncos lead their division. And then, the other teams are second in their division. So tough schedule ahead for the Raiders, who look forward to potentially getting a quarterback this year if Geno Smith continues to play the way that he has.
Absolutely. So the Chiefs win. Go ahead, Caleb. 31-0 over the Raiders. Finish this up.
Yeah, if you had Mahomes in fantasy, he had 32 points going into the half pretty much, and then that was it. He played 2.5 quarters, and they blew him out. It was 31-0. Rashee Rice looks great. Right back where he was. The offense is clicking, like Tim was saying. They're back. One thing I want to touch on is rookie Brashard Smith, their catchback. He looks like he's solidified himself as that third down back in that offense. I know it's garbage time, but he had 14 carries for 40 yards, and he had five receptions on 5 targets for 42 yards. So very efficient in the passing game. And that's kind of what they had with Jarrett McKinnon in their Super Bowl years in the past. And Andy Reid always uses that catchback. So Brashard Smith, if he's available in your wire, try to scoop him up.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's talk about, Tim, I'm going to go to you first. Let's talk about a game that many people had split looking at the national poll, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Minnesota Vikings. They decided to go with back to Carson Wentz. I don't know, again, if the injury to their rookie quarterback is healed yet, but needless to say, 28-22. This is a game, again, Tim, where Jalen Hurts actually showed up. 3 touchdowns, 304 yards. Devonta Smith on my fantasy team and had 183 yards. A.J. Brown looked alive for once. But there's a player who's not really getting it done, and that is running back Saquon Barkley. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I said if Wentz started, I thought Vikings had a really good shot just based on the way the Eagles had been playing. And the Eagles did a very un-Eagles-like thing for this year, and they put it together. And they put together their best offensive showing of the year. Carson Wentz was kind of back to, Carson Wentz. He threw 2 interceptions in the first half. I believe both interceptions were in the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, but the Eagles, we all have a mutual Eagles friend that listens to our podcast here, and I texted her and I said, that is the best I've seen Jalen Hurts look on a drive in so long. Phenomenal. If you're an Eagles fan, that is a very encouraging win. But again, kind of what I said about the Rams, best win of the year for the Eagles.
Now, Caleb, if I were to tell you that Minnesota's defense held the Eagles to 55 rushing yards, you'd think they probably got that win.
Yeah, the Vikings have been a top-tier defense this year. They've been really stingy. All across the board in all their games. But like you said, A.J. Brown, 4 of 6, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devonta Smith, 9 of 11 for 183 and a touchdown. That's absurd numbers. Yeah, that's they're getting smoked. So seems like they figured it out. If they could figure out the run game, 18 of 44 for Saquon Barkley, not efficient at all this year, really, which is kind of disheartening since he was such a high draft pick in fantasy. So the Eagles fans really want to see it too, but man, they looked way better than they have in previous weeks.
Yeah, Josh?
Yeah, and they really committed to passing the football in this game. Jalen Hurts only had 4 rush attempts, which a lot of those, I don't remember if it was 2, 3 that came towards the end of the game, but he wasn't running in this game. He had 4 carries, negative 10 yards because of those kneel downs, and then he didn't score in this game, I don't think, but 19 of 23, 326, 3 touchdowns. And like y'all said, the running game has not been to their benefit. I think the longest run Saquon Barkley's had this season is 18 yards, and that was against the Giants just last week. So he has not been breaking off big plays in the run game. He did have 1 long reception a few weeks ago, but nothing to write home about for their run game. And so you're seeing them having to lean into the passing game. Y'all mentioned the numbers, almost 200 yards for Devonta Smith, his best game in his career. A.J. Brown putting up a Randy Moss stat line, 4 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. Highly efficient, of course. And they got rid of those plays, the little shuffle passes to Dallas Goedert in the red zone. They look like a team that was playing football, not just getting by with these gimmick plays that they've been playing. So obviously, like Tim said, best game from Jalen Hurts, best drives from Jalen Hurts in a while. But their defense just is not getting home. They're not getting anywhere. So we see Brandon Graham come out of retirement this week to play for him again.
Mistake. Caleb, did you see how the Minnesota defense lined up against the tush push?
I did not.
They basically turned sideways and it laid across the line. But also the refs were calling. I think at one point the Philly linemen were on all fours and they called them finally. But you had a point to make before we move on.
Yeah, I have a point. Saquon Barkley, he is the second worst running back in the league. Yards per carry for running backs that have over 100 touches. He's 3.27. not good. He is the 16th best running back for fantasy right now. He only has 3 touchdowns, so not efficient at all. I don't know what's wrong. So hopefully they figure that part out. They figured out the passing game.
Like we said, the Eagles continue to be an anomaly. No one can quite tell you what they are. All they do is win, win, win. All right, let's talk about the Jets. Justin Fields benched at halftime. Tyrod Taylor comes in and leads them to their only touchdown of the game. They still lose to the Carolina Panthers 13-9. I believe both starting quarterbacks were eventually out in that game as Andy Dalton came in. Let's land on the New York Giants and that heart we have all developed for Dart. Well, some of us. 19-point lead. Swallowed up at the very end, and just when they thought the penalties and got them into the place to be able to win the game, Bo Nix walks them right back down the field again, 33-32. Oh, New York fans, how heartbreaking. Bo Nix. Tim, I know you watched this one.
Oh, I did watch this, and it gave me a Super Bowl flashbacks for the Atlanta Falcons of blowing such a huge lead. I mean, the idea of all you have to do is run the ball, Giants. All you have to do is take a knee for Pete's sake and keep that clock moving. When you've got that much of a lead, 18-point lead with 5 minutes, I believe it was, right? A little over 5, maybe 5:07 or something like that. 18-point lead. Need the ball. Like just run the clock, drain the clock, and the play call that. Everything about it was just a complete and utter collapse. The only positives, I was talking to a Giants fan earlier today, is it looks like you may have found your quarterback. He's got moxie. Say what you want about him. He's got moxie.
I agree.
He's no vanilla quarterback that's just going to go out there and just kind of play it safe. He's got something, and they've got a really good running back in Skedabu. So I think they've got something to build on. But man, is that a devastating loss.
3 touchdown passes and 1 on the ground, Josh. I think, Jackson is doing a great job for a young rookie. He's being fed to the Wolves.
Right. So what are you going to say about that?
I'm baiting you. I'm baiting you.
No. Okay. Well, he did have a 45% completion in this game. If you saw the touchdown where he hit Wan'Dale Robinson going across the field, bounced off his hands, his body, turned into a touchdown for the tight end, Johnson. So, yeah, I think they've had a little bit more fortune than good football, but they have been good. But
defense
obviously,
is great.
Yes, the defense has been great, but that's what we would expect from a team with that level of talent. They shut out the Broncos, which is the biggest thing from this. Is yes, allowing 33 points in the fourth quarter is obviously terrible, and that's the most points from a team to win was 33 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, to win the game. That's the most ever
Coach Payton
from a team that was getting shut out. Right. So 0 points in the first 3 quarters, 33 points scored in the fourth. That's just inexcusable. As you said, the talent for the Giants is there, but Brian Burns, he gets hurt, and he's still playing through it, but he's hobbled, and then you allow 33 points. Like, I don't know. They obviously need to clean it up, but
the difference is always coaching. When you see Peyton come in, and somehow the Broncos, who've been down seemingly a lot, they're 5-2, and then we have the Giants that have been in a lot of games are somehow 2-5. So it does come down to coaching a great deal. Caleb, was it you or Josh that told me that, or reminded me that virtually every passing yard that came from the drive before the Broncos won, when the Giants responded, came off penalty yards? That was not Jackson Dart throwing the football; it was penalty yards.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yep. When Jackson Dart got his rushing touchdown, it came off of just several heaves down the field to try and draw something or make something happen. That drive, I don't know how many yards they got that would register for them.
Half a field.
Ultimately, getting to the goal line, off of a penalty is not you driving the football and taking over. It's not making excuses. But
yeah, I was asked, Tim, if I got to see that, and I'm shamefully going to admit that we were at a great wedding, happy to be there. However, on the long ride home on the country roads, what's happening in the car? We're listening to, low-key has it on, watching this game. So Caleb texted me. I said, amazing. Yeah, I'm watching it while I'm listening to it as I'm navigating the drive home. But you were going to say something, Caleb?
Yeah. Bo Nix, he's played some tough defenses this year. He played the Colts, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Jets, who have a great defense, and then now the Giants. He's currently QB6 for fantasy. I always try to be relevant in fantasy, but this game he had over 300 yards and 4 total touchdowns. 2 are on the ground. He's been playing great considering he's been playing some tough defenses and some tough teams, and they're 5-2, like you said. Their schedule does lighten up a little bit, so if you have the chance to get somebody like Sutton or J.K. Dobbins, maybe even R.J. Harvey, I think he's going to have a good second half of the season after the bye week, or Bo Nix himself, he might be hard to buy off a 45-point game. But buy some Broncos if you can, because people kind of aren't talking about them as much as they should.
All right, let's talk about the 6-1 Indianapolis Colts. They go into what I think is a tough game against the Chargers. Guys, they lead the NFL in scoring, 32.1 points per game. Indianapolis is on fire, all because of the guy that when he got drafted, we all publicly shunned and laughed out loud when the Giants drafted Daniel Jones. 38-24. Tim, what was your takeaway from this game?
Wide receiver, Alex Pierce, phenomenal game. Again, they're kind of taking these players that, we kind of think of secondary players, and they're not the Justin Jeffersons or the JSNs or the Pukas, but they're making these players into studs, and they're just finding different people. Different people are stepping up each and every week. Again, I keep waiting. I struggle with Indy. I know they have the best record in football. I get it. I still, this was an impressive win. I'll give them that. I still want to see them string it together. I know any Indy fans listening will go, what more could they possibly do? I need to see it a little bit more, but there's no doubt that they have had a very impressive season. On the other end, the Chargers, these injuries are catching up to them. The offensive line, I feel like that's all we talk about every week. Yeah, they cannot run the ball. They're on their 4th running back or 3rd or 4th running back. Justin Herbert, 6 interceptions just in the last 5 games. I love Herbert, but you gotta protect the ball, especially when you run game. But it all relates. If your offensive line is porous, then you're getting crushed. So he's trying to force something that might not be there. So 2 teams possibly going in different directions right now.
Caleb?
Yeah, one of the things that stuck out to me, I might be stealing Josh's point, but Oronde Gadsden, son of an NFL player, last 2 weeks really has been going crazy. Last week he was 7-8 for 68 yards. He's tight end, by the way, for the Chargers. This week, 7 of 9 for 164 and a touchdown, averaging 23 yards a catch. So he's really their best receiver right now somehow. You would think it'd be Ladd McConkey or Keenan Allen, but Oronde Gadsden has been changing the game. He's been getting a lot of first downs for them, moving the ball. He's 22 years old. He's a rookie. He's been phenomenal. He's really stuck out to me the past few weeks.
Josh, your takeaway?
If you look at his, I want to speak on Gadsden for just a moment. If you look at his receiving yards in a game, obviously, what was it, 164? That's the most by anybody in at least 25 seasons from a rookie tight end. That's the most from a receiving, or like any receiver, tight end, whatever. Most yardage in a game by a rookie so far this season. Obviously, that's the most by a Chargers player, so he beats out Antonio Gates for that best game, and it's the most by a rookie tight end in, I believe, close to 50 years. So not only 25 years, but just an outstanding game for him, establishing himself within the offense. Like Caleb said, if you remember his dad, same exact name. That's why he's the second, but the receiver for the Dolphins. So immediate impact, immediate role. He in college, he was basically a wide receiver. Right now, he's basically a wide receiver for them. But as Tim mentioned, the team, they're struggling to block. We highlighted Hassan Haskins and his blocking ability for Ladd McConkey's play last week. He's now out. So now it's just Kamani Vidal and Nyheim Hines. These guys are not tall, not stout, not known for their run blocking or pass blocking or anything in between that. So it's going to continue to be a struggle for this team. And it's cool that they have all these receivers and these names now, but they need to find a way for Justin Herbert to not get killed back there.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, let's keep moving the ball down the field. Dallas Cowboys at home against the Washington Commanders, 44-22, in a game where we saw the Dallas defense play man-to-man more snaps than they have yet. And, of course, Dak Prescott now, very impressive season, over 30 points per game in this offense, but Dak has threw 3 touchdown passes in 4 straight games, Caleb, making him one of our elite passers in the game.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense first, so I'll tackle that. We have a rookie, 21-year-old Shamar James, who's filled in the last 3 weeks and has been phenomenal. His first start, 15 tackles. Second start, 11 tackles. And this game, he had 7 tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble. Shamar James has been night and day the difference between our defense, especially the linebacker room. It's been banged up with Sanborn and Kenneth Murray kind of rotating in and out. But Shamar James, just watch him on Sunday. He's really making an impact for such a young guy. He's only 21 years old.
Now, Tim, they've taken the approach that they're not going to fire Eberflus. At least they're not anxious to. They believe he's a chess player, and they're playing chess. This week, the big change was shifting to man coverage, something they haven't really done all year. What's your takeaway on this game, the team's decision to stay with Eberflus?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to judge in isolation because, Washington was without their top 3 wide receivers. So it's hard to judge the defensive part of that. But yeah, I think it was 65% on man-to-man this week, or maybe it was even higher than that. I forget what the percentage was, but way more man-to-man, and obviously it worked against a lesser Washington team. Jaden Daniels hobbled. I don't know what. Have we heard an update on that? Is he
hamstring?
Could be out. Hamstring guy. But my goodness, that Dallas offense. Dallas. I mean, I think statistically, you are the number 1 offense in football. Is that correct?
Could be. Yeah. Could be.
When your number 2 receiver in George Pickens is averaging 20 yards per catch, that's crazy. That's crazy in the game the other day. So like they are loaded. Just having CeeDee Lamb out there, Pickens, they are going to be very dangerous if they can figure out their defense. Eberflus has been around. He's a proven guy.
He's no dummy.
I don't know, and so I think we need another week or 2 to see whether they made the right move. With that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm not worried about their defense. Shamar James looks like plug and play, and we have a lot of veterans like Kenneth Murray, and Overshown comes back after the bye. Overshown comes back. Deron Bland had Mr. Pick 6, had another one this game. We should figure out, like you're saying, just who's going where. We have the talent on the team, I believe. I'm not a fan of Diggs. I'm not here to trash him, but I think he's inconsistent. If we could figure out just moving him where he needs to be, the defense it's ready. It's just not tuned in yet. I think a few more weeks, like Tim's saying, it will look a lot better.
And Tim, to talking about the Redskins having their 3 best offensive players down, essentially we haven't started a game with our starting defense yet, and no one talks about D-Law. He left and went to the Seahawks, and of course we traded away Parsons. So arguably 2 of our better players have been gone, and we've been trying to fill that hole. Josh, let's talk about the offense. I know you love Pickens. It looks like Dallas is going to try to make an effort to sign him sooner than later. But CeeDee Lamb, plug and play, 74-yard touchdown, 110 yards total, and Javonte Williams' second 100-yard rushing game. This offense is on fire.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Dak Prescott versus the Commanders playing in Dallas, he has never lost. He's 7-0, 1,800 passing yards, 22 touchdowns. He hasn't thrown an interception against the Commanders, Redskins, in his career at home. 126.4 passer rating. If you combine the numbers, it's a 4,400-yard season average against the Washington Commanders. 0 interceptions. I mean,
crazy.
They're not doing anything to stop him. But then defensively, the last time we saw Deron Bland and his fantastic season, everyone remembers his pick 6 against them on Thanksgiving. He did the same thing in this game. So you do have playmakers that are available, but I think similarly to like what the Bengals did last year, they kind of scapegoated Lou Anarumo for their injuries, for their lack of talent in the secondary, which he has no control over. And they got rid of him. And now you're seeing them on the Colts team. They're picking up Bengals players, plugging them in, and they're magically good, right? Because Lou Anarumo is a great defensive coordinator. So I think, speaking for Matt Eberflus, you guys mentioned some of the names, but Donovan Ezeraku, Shamar James, both rookies, both starting right now. They're asking a lot from the 2 premier positions on the defense. Trayvon Diggs in and out, concussed at his house, apparently, whatever that means. But you had Triquez Bridges starting, 25-year-old rookie. Wanye Thomas, he's filling in for Malik Hooker. Kyer Elam never really had the chance to start on the Bills. He's now starting. You're asking a lot from players that A, have not started, or B, are rookies immediately thrown into the fire. So, yes, it hasn't been great, but there's not really a premier player on this defense outside of Diggs a few years ago, Deron Bland a few years ago. There's not a guy to rally behind right now, and so they're kind of establishing that at this point in time.
And just to close the point too, we've lost our starting guard, tackle, and center very early in the season. Have somehow navigated with draft picks and been able to hold this line and protect Dak Prescott. So pretty impressive when you consider what the odds have been. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Green Bay and Arizona. Finally, Tim, Michael Parsons gets a 3-sack game.
Finally.
He's
Should have been 4.
Finally paying
I
off.
know, it could
Would
have
have
been
been
4. Yeah, I know. Seriously, this trade actually is going to work out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, way tighter game than I think any of us thought it was going to be. Green Bay's defense is still shaky. We're not there yet. Mike had the 3 sacks. LaFleur took a gamble. I don't know how much of the game you guys watched, but Packers went for it on 4th down. They were down by 3 with about 2 minutes left in the game. They could have just kicked the field goal to tie it, but it would have given Arizona the ball back with the chance to march down and kick field goal. They went for it. They converted, wound up scoring the touchdown to go up by 4. That changes the game. I know we've talked a little bit about this magic number 27, right? Brett Favre was 27 when he won the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers 27. Jordan Love's now 27. All 4 wins for the Packers. They've scored exactly 27 points. How do you like that?
I believe it.
Go.
I believe it.
There you go.
Men of destiny. Hey, Caleb.
I don't think that means anything, but it just sounds cool. But yeah,
It
and
does sound
on
cool.
Arizona's side, Trey McBride, nice little game there, 2-touchdown game for their tight end McBride. Arizona fought, you got to bring it every week. We say this all the time. You cannot sleepwalk into any game in the NFL. You just can't. And so Arizona brought it, and they almost
got it.
got
Had a
past
chance
Green
at
Bay.
the end.
Yeah.
Caleb, I
they
want to
did.
ask you to be reasonable here before get your reasonable face on, because I know that you typically think I pick on Kyler Murray. Is it possible that Arizona runs their offense more efficiently with Brissett?
Probably. I mean, that's what we've seen the last 2 weeks, so maybe.
It seems like their offense is much better.
I would not be surprised if they move on from him. I wouldn't
He's
be
had a
surprised
shot.
if he's wearing a Oakland jersey. Not the Raiders. Not the Raiders. I'm talking about baseball. But one point.
Also
I want
soon to be Vegas.
Yeah.
Soon to be Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to highlight one of my favorite players in the league, Tucker Kraft. I think that he was the real reason why this game was in Packers' favor and why they won the game. He was 5 of 10, 58 yards and a touchdown. I feel like every week, I could say this every week, but I don't. Me and Josh talk about it. You could have another touchdown every week. He's always like on the 1 yard line, or there's a weird penalty or something. But Tucker Kraft, he's a legit player. Arguably, I think I said it before week 1 started, top 5 tight end. I love him. I just want to praise that guy because he's great. I love Tucker Kraft.
The only player in the league to have a perfect passer rating when thrown to. So
Reliable.
every time Jordan Love throws to him, it's been magic. And Tim, are you insisting I should bet my house that when the Packers get to the Super Bowl that they're going to score over 26 points?
Yeah, exactly. I think so.
Hey, I'm all in.
I think it's a safe bet, man.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if we get there.
Maybe,
cool stuff.
maybe. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that's right.
If we get their party at Tim's house. All right, let me close out
exactly.
the last 3 games, then we can backtrack, but let me give you the 3 scores. Sunday Night Football, Mac Jones gets it done again at home. San Francisco beats the odd Falcons 20-10. I don't think there's any surprise. Detroit rolls over Tampa Bay 24-9 in a game where we lose Mike Evans, who just returned. And then finally, the Seattle Seahawks at home take care of business 27-19 against the Houston Texans. So 3 primetime games. Caleb, what was your takeaway from these 3 matchups? By the way, 3 matchups we all picked unanimously the winners, I think.
The first one, Mac Jones, all he had to do and all he did was throw to McCaffrey, and it worked. He had like 500 fantasy points, I think. Kind of annoying when you're playing against them because Mac Jones did nothing outside of that. But they beat the Falcons. Michael Penix, I believe, got injured on the last drive, knee injury. I don't know the extent of that. I haven't looked into it, but he looked rattled. Penix had to be rushed.
He always looks rattled.
Robert Saleh is coaching a crazy defense right now with a bunch of young guys and free agents, like similar teams, but really good on defense. The Tampa Bay game, it's hard to win when you're losing. You're on a rookie receiver is your number 1 receiver, and you're down your 3 other receivers. Mike Evans, unfortunate situation. He's probably out for the year. He's not going to get his 1,000 yards now, broken collarbone. So that's a shame to see. But the officiating and the commentating in this game were probably the most frustrating thing for me. I don't know if anyone else felt that way.
Yes.
I feel like the officiating would say something opposite. The guy they have in New York that calls in, I forget his name, would say something, and then the refs would call the exact opposite. It happened 4 times in this game, and random challenges, challenging like the spot of the ball when they're like 3rd and 18.
3rd down and 5.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's
Something
weird one,
crazy. It was just a weird game, but Kelvin Shepard, the DC for the Lions, might be, if he could be coach of the year, I would give it to him, because he is coaching this defense with
Who's
literally
very injured.
nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on like their 6th or 7th starting corner, and they're shutting out players. I mean, they're playing great football. Yeah, so hats off to them. And lastly, Seattle. It wasn't much of a game until the end of the game when Woody Marks scored that touchdown. Seattle looks great. I mean, they're pretty scary. That division too. The NFC West is tight. I mean, it's scary. It's good. It's a lot of good football. So I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah. Either one of you can go. You don't have to recap all. You can recap none. You can just tell me what you think.
Long-winded.
No, you're good. What do you think, Tim?
I'll just jump in and say, you notice all 3 of those wins were by the road team, which is impressive in the NFL when you can do that, right? San Francisco, I said last week it was the beginning of the end. I was wrong. You know, that their 2 best defensive players out, and they continued to beat a team in Atlanta that seemed to me trending upwards. Detroit, again, they look like maybe the team to beat right now. They're putting it together. I know it was against a banged-up Tampa Bay team, but again, on the road, impressive. In Seattle, that defense looks really good. I don't know if Houston can beat a good team. Houston's only beaten the Titans, and they've beaten Baltimore, which we don't have the same idea of Baltimore this year. But so all 3 teams, road warriors right there, huge road wins for all 3.
So San Francisco, you're talking about San Francisco, Detroit, Seattle, actually all home games, all home team wins. Is that what you meant to say?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes.
I'm tracking with you.
I thought they were away too.
I
watched all 3 games.
Yeah, the 3 home teams for primetime hold. No, I was tracking with you. That's why I was anxious to jump in and let our listeners know that you know what you're talking about for sure.
I do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, bring it home. Then we can move on to week 8.
Yeah, for the 49ers offense, Mac Jones, he didn't have a passing touchdown in this game. He really was just dumping off the football, which is fine. That's what he's a backup quarterback at this point in time, so he's just taking care of business. I understand.
Josh is saying that with clenched fists.
Yes, he is. You can't see. Hold your hands up when you say that. Yeah.
41 touches between the top 2 backs on this team. The top 2 is in mostly McCaffrey. 9 rush attempts for Brian Robinson, however, 40 rushing yards there. Then Christian McCaffrey had, I don't know if he had 200, but he certainly was close enough, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what this game was, ultimately. You had Bryce Huff stand up before he got injured. You had the secondary that's filled in with a bunch of rookies and a bunch of other guys. They played very well, like Caleb said. Robert Saleh is doing a great job. And then there's a lot of guys available from that Jets team right now that probably would lean towards going with Robert Saleh at this point in time. You hear rumors of Jermaine Johnson, who he drafted, his 2nd defensive player beyond Sauce Gardner. Will McDonald, another first-round edge rusher. You see the success that he has bringing his former regime guys in like Bryce Huff. And so with an opportunity to bring in players like that, you talked about the injuries on this defense. They can immediately plug in guys from the Jets if that were to happen and really upgrade their defense at this point in the season. We highlighted Baker Mayfield. He hasn't really had success against the Lions in his career. Unfortunately, that continues. But, of course, they're on their 2nd running back. I mean, he was a starter for a little bit of time prior this year. But no Bucky Irving. Their top receivers are out once again. Abuka, he pulled up a couple times. I mean, he wasn't running full stride all the time. He's clearly injured. And then, as you mentioned, Mike Evans injured. So we'll see how that goes for them going forward. I did pick the Texans.
You did?
Just I thought they would have a better week bouncing off the bye week with their rookie receivers getting more involved. You did see Jalen Noel go 4 for 77, but their offense was not good. You know, it's looked like the Texans, and I shouldn't have picked them ultimately, but they did not bounce back in any way. So
that's all right. You win some, you lose some. All right, let's jump into week 8. Got some great games going on here. Let me start with the very first game, Thursday Night Football. Minnesota Vikings visiting LA Chargers. Chargers are, it still hurts me that they're not San Diego. My brain wants to say San Diego. LA Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Anybody taking Minnesota? If so, why? Is McCarthy back?
Yeah, I'll use my same caveat as last week. I figured it didn't work too well last week, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say if the first you don't succeed, try again, right?
That's right.
I'm going to go if they start Carson Wentz. I think he bounces back. The Chargers are so banged up on that offensive line. So banged up. I think the Chargers are the better team if they're all healthy. But I think right now the Vikings are the better are going to win this one.
Caleb?
Yeah, I think Minnesota as well. We look at the Chargers O-line; it is not great. Minnesota, they have Blake Cashman back, their best linebacker. Brian Flores is not going to let this defense give up 300 yards like they just did in the previous weeks. I know the Chargers are loaded, but they're just going to send an extra guy, put some pressure on Herbert, who's a great playmaker under pressure, but I just think that they can't consistently do that without that O-line being healthy, so I'm going to go Vikings.
Josh?
Yeah, I think the same way. I mean, Justin Herbert has gotten sacked a ton. And if he wasn't Justin Herbert, he would be getting sacked a lot more because he does a good job of, playing quarterback and getting rid of the ball and all those things. But still, you're missing every single one of your top backs that can block and can protect you as well. I'm sure they're going to scheme and have a ton of short plays and all the sorts of things. But with those top two receivers, with Carson Wentz, I just think with the way that they're able to compete against the corners for the Eagles, I think they can do the same against the Chargers. You're just really going to need the absolute best out of Justin Herbert to have a successful game. And then to talk about the quarterbacks, at least Carson Wentz, he was already named the starter. They said J.J. McCarthy, the bye week didn't help with his timetable for return, so I don't know what kind of ankle sprain he has going on because he was able to finish the game that he got injured, but now it's magically very bad.
No.
So I don't.
Not buying
I really
it,
don't
Coach.
understand. But yeah, Carson Wentz, he started off, like Tim mentioned, looking like Carson Wentz last week, the 2 picks in the first quarter.
But he pulled it together.
They were able to match the Eagles for the most part, where a game in which Jalen Hurts had to play essentially perfect to win that game.
All right, so I'm confused. Anyone taking the Chargers then?
No.
You.
I'm taking the Chargers. All right, I'm going to give you 3 games because these 3 games are ridiculously lopsided at home. First game, and I'm going to give you all 3. Miami's visiting Atlanta. Atlanta's 7.5-point favorites. Jets visiting Cincinnati, 5.5-point favorites for Joe Flacco. And Cleveland's visiting New England, 6.5-point favorites. I'm saying home team, Falcons beat the Dolphins, Bengals beat the Jets, New England beats the Browns. Throw me a wrench. Somebody be a lone wolf. Home teams win. Nobody wants this one.
You're right. But I think
Dolphins win.
I'll pick Dolphins.
Really?
Because I think this is the week for Mike McDaniel. I think they had a talking to him this past week. Hey, you lost to the worst team in the league. Worst team in the league. You're 1-6. We said by week 7 that we need to be competitive. We're not competitive. So this is now going into week 8. I think that this is the last straw. If they lose to this Falcons team, who may or may not have Michael Penix, I think that's the last straw for him. So I think he's going to pull all of the plays out of the hat, have a big script to go with, and they can put up points. Achane, Waddle, they can break the field.
Where's the soundboard at? I need a gong.
Oh yeah, but I don't think it's impossible. It's still the NFL.
I love it.
Obviously, yeah. So
you're pulling out all the stops. Any given Sunday, anything could happen. I love it. Who's the backup quarterback in Atlanta? Is it Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
It is Daddy Kirk.
Can I just say that they're a much better team with Kirk Cousins than this clown Penix? Like, this guy does not, as Josh says, he's not a good thrower of the football. This guy doesn't make confident decisions. They're probably better off without him, which gives me more reason to think that if Penix is down, they'll probably play better. I know Kirk had a rough go of it last year for a series or 2. I mean, he might have thrown 45 interceptions in 2 games.
He was the MVP candidate for like the first month of the year.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, so I'm not buying it. What do you think, Josh? You going with the 3 home teams here?
I don't know. You sold me. I was going to pick the Dolphins, but then you heard Kirk Cousins was playing. I don't think that they're going to be able to match. We just saw Judkins basically in the first 15 minutes of football have 3 touchdowns, 90 rushing yards. Dylan Gabriel didn't. I mean, I don't even know if he was playing. He just handed off the football, dumped it off a few times. Like, they didn't have to do anything. But in regards of how this offense is run, they now score less points than the Dolphins per game offensively, which is crazy to say. But yeah, you said Kirk Cousins. Bijan has a prime matchup. The Dolphins really have to play the best they've ever played to keep McDaniel's job. But we did just see Mac Jones do nothing and dump it off to his running back and win the game. So,
well, different team, different scheme. Hey, Tim, we might be having a
Same
game where
scheme, kinda.
Tyrod Taylor is starting against Joe Flacco. How crazy is that? Holy
Yeah, how crazy
2005,
is that?
Batman.
Yeah, seriously, what is happening? What is
Two
happening?
vintage games in a row. for
Yeah,
the Bengals.
exactly.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
So are you fool enough
Yeah,
to
no-
take any of these visiting teams, Tim, or are you going with the homeboys here?
No, I think, if this was week 2 or week 3, when everything's kind of a crapshoot, and anything could happen. But the further along you go in a season, the more film we get to watch, and more film they get to watch also, and the more it kind of establishes who's in, who's out type of thing. I think sometimes it's the simplest answer is the answer. I think it's Atlanta, Cincinnati, New England.
Josh, you had a point before we move
Caleb
on.
made some good arguments, though. Caleb,
Yeah, but Caleb's already relented. He's already gone with the homeboys, too.
Yeah, I've already threw in the towel on
done.
that one.
Bijan only had 40 rushing yards. He's not going to do that again last week.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, go ahead. Bring it home.
I think in the same regard of how the Browns were able to play against the Packers, can happen against the New England Patriots.
Mhm.
Their run game is non-existent. Ramondre Stevenson, he's had 2 really, good games this year, 2 good games and 5 bad games. He's averaging 35 rushing yards a game. And they're not going to give it to Travion Henderson because Mike Vrabel doesn't do that. He doesn't give the ball to rookies. His rookie receivers are getting 1 or 2 opportunities. His running back rookie is not getting many opportunities at all. But the Cleveland Browns defense is still very much so here. We saw, they were terrorizing the wide receivers for the Dolphins. I know it's the
Indeed.
Dolphins, but still, they have more sacks than the New England Patriots. They have just as many interceptions. This is a good team. And I understand that they have what the big problem for them has been the quarterback position. But outside of the quarterback position, they're a pretty solid team. And they're going to be able to run the football. They have just as much time possession. This was the same argument against the Packers, where the Packers are just hitting on all cylinders, these massive, efficient plays, and they're putting up points. But are the Patriots going to do that every single week? Because like Tim mentioned, look at who they're playing.
Yeah.
They're playing against a real defense this Sunday, guys.
Fair to say
Drake-
the toughest defense they played, right? That Drake Mates played against.
All
100%.
this, you're doing a lot of talking. I don't hear you saying Browns will win.
I'll pick the Browns.
Okay. That's what I want to hear.
Nicely done.
Hey, let's talk about the
Good job,
hardest
Josh.
game to pick this week because it is the New York Giants and Philadelphia Eagles. I say this because division rivals, they played hard last time. It was just 2 weeks ago they played each other. Is this easy, Josh? You're shaking your head. Who you got? Eagles are favored by
Eagles are gonna
7.5.
The Eagles are going to win.
Okay.
Jackson Dart, we're talking about miracle plays. Last time he played against the Eagles,
He doesn't have a
Quinyon
heart
Mitchell
for Dart,
left in
Tim.
the
He
first.
doesn't have a heart for
He
Dart.
left. Quinyon Mitchell left in the first quarter when that happened. They had corners running into each other for
He
Wandale
said
touchdowns.
miracle plays.
I'm saying it's happened for 2 consecutive weeks. It's just if we're picking stuff that we can bet on, we can depend upon AJ Brown, Devontae Smith
Can you?
having big play potential. Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Big play
you can
potential.
count on them having big play potential.
versus who on the Giants?
I'm not disagreeing, but counting on big play potential. That's just a great. I love it. I mean, I
I'm
agree.
not saying that they're going to get 25 targets and make it pretty. I'm saying if you're not surprised if 5 different guys can score the field on the Eagles comparatively to what on the Giants, because the Giants' big plays have come from the Eagles game where 2 corners run into each other and Wandale takes however many yards that was, or hitting Wandale in the chest and then Johnson taking it the field. It's not ordinary
you.
football.
Caleb, are you buying this or selling this?
Eagles 100%, and this is a hopeful
Potential
discussion.
hopeful.
Saquon Barkley gets back on track against his old team. He has been a pedestrian in this offense this year. He's literally been. They could probably start the second running back, and he'd do better. And I'm being honest.
Well,
it's unfortunate, but it's hard to beat the same team twice. So the Eagles 100%. And it's only 2 weeks ago. So Eagles 100% lock in my brain.
And Brian
Tim,
Burns.
give us some
also
reason,
injured.
not potential, not hopeful. Give me some reasons here.
Well, I have not picked Philly all year long, but I am 100%. I have 100% on the Philly train this time, and here's why. Here's why. Again, they have film to look at. They just played each other 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
There's
agreed.
no way Philadelphia sleeps on the Giants. They don't. I think they slept on them. It was a Thursday night game. I think they They thought, okay, the Giants at that point were kind of still, Jackson Dart wasn't anything yet. I think they just overlooked them, and they're not going to overlook them now. Their offense, you want facts? Look at the facts from this past week. The Eagles played a very good team. They played a very good team, and they put up
no question
28 points in Minnesota. That one was on the road. They put up 28 points, and against I think a much better team than the
100%.
Giants, right? And so I have never been this confident. Watch your backfire. I've never been this confident this year on the Eagles winning a game as I am this week.
I do have a point. Who would y'all say is the best offensive player for the Giants right now? And I'm not talking quarterback. I'm saying other position.
Dan Bellinger.
Yeah.
He's on the field majority of the game. He makes the blocking plays for Scadaboo to do stuff, and he's been scoring the last few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we look at Cam Scadaboo and what he's done this year. Yes. It's awesome. I mean, mid-round pick, starting, exciting. He's averaging in his starts roughly the same as Saquon Barkley. So a disappointing Saquon Barkley is doing the exact same thing as Cam Scadaboo.
But the difference is a Hall of Famer versus a rookie, someone that you paid a lot of money versus a nobody.
Still bottom
I understand.
Third of the league.
You're right, though.
But for are we really projecting Saquon to play at his floor?
Yeah.
No. That's what I'm saying. Is you have the last time they played, a lot of things went in the favor of the Giants. A lot of things went in the favor for the Giants. Their offense was not clicking. And I'm not saying Saquon's going to click, but I'm saying he's doing the same thing as Cam Scadaboo. So for projecting for this game, it's not much different with the potential of Saquon being force-fed against his former team once again.
We totally agree. We're all going Eagles. Take it to the bank. Watch them lose. Then everyone will have a heart for Dart.
No.
All right, here's one. We're going to move on. We got to move on. Can't talk for an hour about the Eagles. Let's talk about these Buffalo Bills and Carolina Panthers. I can't believe Buffalo's only 7.5-point favorites. Do we all agree Buffalo's got this win so we can move on? Caleb? No.
I think Carolina has a good shot. I think a better shot if Andy Dalton plays, to be honest with you. Because Bryce Young, we know what we're getting after 8 weeks. After 7 games, sorry. This Carolina defense stops the run. We've seen games where James Cook gets bottled up. They just straight up lose, the Buffalo Bills. They still don't have a wide receiver. Josh Palmer's not going to be in this game. J.C. Horn's going to shadow Keon Coleman. Who's going to step up? If Dalton Kincaid plays, he might be their best receiver this game. But if they bottle up James Cook, I think it's easy. Carolina's going to run out the clock. They have a 2-headed monster now running back. Their defense is playing up. J.C. Horn, arguably one of the best defensive games of his career last week. Just the Carolina looks great. And they're at home. I'm going Carolina.
Lone Wolf. All right, we're going to move on.
It's worth mentioning the number 1 team in time possession this season, Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it's true.
Great run defense, and they're running the football at an immensely high level right now.
So you're going with them on this?
Yeah.
That's
2
how
upsets.
the Bills lose to the Falcons.
No. I'm not picking the Panthers. I'm saying
I am.
I'm saying it's not a pretty situation for the Bills where you're going to walk in and confidently pick them, but you're going to pick them.
Right there.
I got you.
Yeah. A ton of injuries for the Bills.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm still taking the Bills. Tim?
I'm still taking the Bills. You got the second best player in football out there on the field.
Second.
Yeah.
3 Bills, 1 Panther.
Behind Patrick, right?
All right, here's a game I need some insight on because Lamar Jackson is not returning. He is not in practice. He is very unlikely to start this game. Let's go on the premise that he's not going to start because my gut tells me and everything indicates, including Adam Schefter this morning, said he's not likely to play. So Chicago, I know Baltimore's 6.5-point favorites at home. Chicago's been on a hot streak. I've got Chicago as an upset based on Vegas, although I think that will change when they realize that their starting quarterback in Baltimore's down. Who you guys taking, Tim?
Chicago. Yeah. Unless Lamar miraculously comes back and they're able to put it together, Chicago's playing really well. Like I said earlier in the recap from before, I mean, the run game, their defense, 16 takeaways this year. They're putting it together. Caleb Williams is looking good. That's a good team over there in Chicago. I hate
Anybody
to say that. I can't believe I'm saying
Yeah.
that.
No, you're fair and neutral. Anybody taking Baltimore so we can move on?
No, but,
But-
like Tim mentioned, Bears first in takeaways. The Ravens are 31st in sacks, so second worst team there. They traded away Adafe Owe, one of their starting edge rushers. I don't know what they're doing. Their time of possession is not good, and like you mentioned, no Lamar Jackson. It's just they're overcoming a lot in this matchup with a team that is now just figuring out their rushing game. Quarterbacks have blown out the Ravens. Running backs, their defense has been terrible. So there's no reason to not pick the Bears, I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is a great classic upset game. Okay, here's one we might need to land on just for a minute. San Francisco 49ers, Houston Texans. Houston is at home. Houston's favored by 1.5 points. I'll tell you right away, I'm taking San Francisco. I know Houston's been losing, and they probably shouldn't be. They're not as bad as their record and their losses.
Yeah.
But, I really think that this team, the 49er team, despite injuries, despite, like you said, defense has been coached out of their mind. Offensive scheme has been moving. A healthy Christian McCaffrey's worth its weight in gold. And Mac Jones, as we pointed out to the point of nausea, should have been the starting quarterback when he got drafted to this team, not get around the league. So that said, all they do is win, 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 win. So I'm going 49ers over Houston.
Whew, that's tough. I'm going to go Houston, I think. We see former DC for Shanahan. He knows the offense better than most people. That defense in Houston's is still good. I know they lost to Seattle in prime time, but I'm a defensive minded person. I think that's what wins football games. DeMeco Ryan knows that. He knows this offense, like I just said. If Mac Jones is playing, they're banged up still. I feel like the Texans can't be bad every week offensively. They're going to figure it out at some point. And I guess this is a contingency on if Collins is playing. He has a concussion. If Nico Collins plays, I will go Texans.
Okay, Josh?
It's worth mentioning that the 49ers have 0 interceptions this year. They're the third worst team as far as getting pressure and sacks. And I mean, a lot of that has to do with them being second in time possession, similarly to the Panthers. It's not been mega efficient from Christian McCaffrey outside of this previous game, but they're carrying the clock. They're getting first downs consistently. They're not having big plays, but they're taking care of the football offensively and taking care of the clock. But this could be one of the better games from the Texans because of that. There's not really a threat to them for this 49ers defense with all their other injuries that they just got as well. So I think it'll be a lot closer. I don't know if I can rationalize picking the Texans ever again and how they've let me down.
Tim?
That's fair.
Yeah, it's football's a chess match, right? And so when you look at the two parts of it, the Texans offense versus San Fran defense, I think that's kind of a bit of a wash, right? I think that the San Fran defense is able to kind of stop them. So to me, the real key that I'm going to be watching is San Fran's offense versus Houston's D. That's what I want to see. And with McCaffrey continuing to play like McCaffrey, he's stayed healthy and played well, and Kittle back in the mix and seeing, obviously he did nothing this past week. Sorry about that, Josh. We played each other in fantasy about that. But if they can work Kittle back in, and I think that right there could be the difference. If they can get those guys going, I'm not sure Houston's D can stop those two.
Yeah. The Texans still have I think they allow 15 points per game or right under that still.
Yep.
But like you mentioned, McCaffrey, the entire offense, I don't know if we're picking the 49ers if he's not playing, but they just got George Kittle. They might have someone else out there that was a starter at some point. So
let's keep the ball moving down the field. This is another game that should be easy. We have Tampa Bay, 6.5 point favorites against the Saints. The Saints are the home team. However, I think Baker Mayfield, with half of a football team, is more than capable to beat their division rivals in the Saints. Anybody taking the Saints?
It's one of those 51-49 games, but I think Tampa Bay is the better team. I would not be surprised if the Saints won. That's what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Is there any clarity on Hassan Reddick injury?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's a big factor.
That's a big factor. Agreed.
Yeah, I feel like we're just going to continture to get the same Saints team no matter who they play.
Right. They'll be in it, but they won't win it.
Almost there. Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk about one that I think is going to split the nation in terms when I look at the polls right now. Denver is 3.5-point favorites at home, hard to win in Mile High, and Dallas is visiting. Tim, what do you think about this game? It's going to be a shootout. They might score 80 points each.
I love this game. I love this game.
I
This is
don't.
my second favorite game. This is my second favorite game that I'm looking forward to. We're getting to the Sunday night one's my favorite one, but the Dallas Denver, man, it's going to be great. I think, like you said, I think it could be a shootout. I like Dallas. I do like Dallas. I love Dallas's offense, and like you said before, Dallas's defense, which we picked on so much earlier in the season, it wasn't that they didn't have the pieces. It was that they weren't putting the right scheme out there and putting the right people in the right place. And I think, we've said this so many times, the NFL season is a story, right? You evolve as the season goes on and you make changes. I think Dallas is starting to click. I do, not just based on one game, but a pattern of games now. I like Dallas in this one. I think it's close, but I think Dallas is able to pull it off.
Josh, do you agree watching Mims and those guys get loose against the Giants last week was wild because it seems like Knicks could just spot them out of a crowd 40 yards down the field, boom, 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 easy peasy. Do you think going man coverage, maybe even having Trayvon Diggs back, makes this more of a game? Do you think, like Tim said, that the defense is starting to evolve into something feasible and playable?
I mean, the defense is going to get better week to week, but I think the biggest reason for going to man is you're confident in your starting corners being able to shut down the likes of Jalen Lane, a rookie, Luke McCaffrey, who only gets big receptions essentially, and then other players, Robbie Chosen, who I honestly didn't think was going to touch a football this year. He just shows up on my TV screen. It's just, that's why you go man-to-man exclusively. So going man-to-man, against Troy Franklin, who can break the field, Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, who does very well one-on-one. Like we mentioned before, him and Amonra basically lead the league in touchdowns at their wide receiver position the last few years. I don't think we're going to see, quite as much as we did last week, but it's worth mentioning at least the teams that the Broncos have played offensively. I mean, they held the Eagles, right? But they couldn't hold the Chargers, they couldn't hold the Colts, and now they're playing the number one passing offense in the NFL. So is it going to be a shootout, or can the Broncos even respond to that? Or of course, the defense is not good for the Cowboys, but if they can't respond to the Cowboys' offense, then that's obviously going to be the problem for them. So you're assuming that the Broncos' defense has held, Jackson Dart, Justin Fields. Yes, I think their stats are a little inflated on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to pick Dallas, but I think that ultimately it just comes down to the Dallas train continuing.
Sure. Caleb, what you got? We got 2 Dallas so far.
It's tough. I think it's a close game. Obviously, Vegas right now likes Denver. They're at home. I think Denver. If it's hard because are we gonna get Bo Nix that can match, or Bo Nix that just doesn't do anything, kind of manages his way to a loss? I want to pick Dallas, but my brain's saying Denver. Man. I think J.K. Dobbins has a great game. I think Evan Ingram has a great game. Cortland Sutton. I think Denver wins this game. I think Aubrey, though, hot take, will have 2 60-yard kicks in this game, 2 of them, being a mile high. And he's the best kicker in the league. But it's real close. But Denver, I think, wins.
All right, let me put you out of your agony because we're going to move on to a game that has absolutely no meaning as far as picking. We know it. I'll say this. I think that as much as I love Bo Nix and Denver, and I do think they're hard to beat at home, and I'm with you. My head tells me go Denver. My heart says go Dallas. But here's something I can't get out of my brain. Dak Prescott has thrown 3 touchdown passes in the last 4 games. I think that he has faced some decent teams, and he's been able to rise above no matter what. So I feel like if it comes down to Dak versus Bo at this point in their career this season, I like the chances because ultimately I don't think either defense, no matter how good or bad they are, is going to stop the other quarterback very much, to be fair. But I like the numbers. I like the odds that Dallas has in their favor as far as being one of the most productive offenses. So that with a kicker who can kick, he'll probably set the NFL record at Mile High because you can kick the ball forever. So they might let him shoot a 75-yarder to win the game. Who knows? So I'm reluctantly going with Dallas. Let's pick a game that's a lot easier to pick, guys. Tennessee Titans. are visiting Indianapolis, who are 14.5-point favorites. I'm not even going to give this game a moment of our time. Colts. Nobody in the world is going to, with the brain, is going to take the Tennessee Titans. Josh, don't you dare say anything. We're going to Green Bay and Pittsburgh, a reputable NFL football matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh is our underdogs at home. Green Bay's 3.5-point favorites. Tim, we're going to go with you and Josh first. So what are you thinking here?
Yeah, what a great matchup, right? I mean, this one, since Aaron signed with the Pittsburgh, this one's been circled on the calendar. I think for all NFL fans, it should be high rated for NBC. And just two teams that are kind of pretty similar right now as far as where I think most people's opinions of them. Like, all right, I think they could be something, but there's some holes there a little bit, both on the defensive side. I like Green Bay in this one, not because I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, but because I watched Pittsburgh's defense the other day. And while Green Bay's defense does not have it all together, I worry about two players. I worry about Tucker Kraft and I worry about Josh Allen. Josh Allen. I never worry about Josh Allen. Josh Jacobs. How is Pittsburgh going to stop Josh Jacobs or Tucker Kraft?
Yeah,
and the answer is I don't think they are.
Right.
I don't think they are. And Jordan Love's got a lot of weapons besides those two. You know, the receiving core is pretty deep. And like we've talked about earlier, if Pittsburgh is able to pick up another receiver, great. But right now, I think we all know, you know, that their DK is their number one receiver, and then they just keep pounding those three tight ends. And so if you can cover those tight ends and then the receiver, I like the matchup for Green Bay a little bit more. I think they're both good teams. I think it's a close game. I still love Aaron Rodgers, but he's trying to be the fifth quarterback ever to try to beat all 32 teams. He's the one team he's never beat is the Green Bay Packers. So we'll see what happens. This will probably be his only shot, right? I don't know how much longer he's planning on playing, but
unless they go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's true. That is
27.
Right. That's a good point. That's true. That's right, man.
Josh, I know you claim that you're really not a Steelers fan, but you're lying to the whole world. You love the Steelers.
I mean, I don't let it bother me. I just you know what to expect. They're gonna go to the playoffs. No one's gonna project them to go to the playoffs, and then when everyone starts to like them, then they lose. So
yeah, you're right.
But I mean, as far as it goes, the Green Bay Packers are the most efficient team on third down. They can sustain drives when it happens, but they're both bottom 5 in time of possession. The Pittsburgh Steelers are dead last, and surprisingly, they have only 7 yards difference between the top two running backs in yards per game, which is crazy for me to say. But they can't sustain drives, but when they do, they're very long drives for the Green Bay Packers. So I would like to say the Steelers, but like Tim said, you focus on Metcalf and okay, whatever. What if Pat Freiermuth scores a 70-yard touchdown? Okay, like it's not going to let you bother them, or it's not going to let them bother them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would pick the Packers. I think they're a more explosive offense. The players that Tim mentioned, the other receivers, there's just not really a guy to point to on the Steelers team right now. There was Calvin Austin that was breaking big plays, but he's out. There's just nothing. So you're really hoping on basically Aaron Rodgers to make magic happen for them to win.
Caleb?
I think it's a close game. I think it's going to be a coaching game, however you want to call it. It's going to be close. Both teams can grind I know they have the lowest time possession, but they're going to have to grind the clock out here, I think. It all depends, I think, on the Packers linebackers and their nickelback, Javon Bullard. If Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper can stop those tight ends, that's a big mismatch blocking-wise.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Arthur Smith pulls out of the hat for this, because obviously everyone knows DK Metcalf's going to get the ball, but who else is going to get the ball? It feels like a weird, like, Ben Skoranek touchdown game, like it was in week 2. So I think it's going to be a lot of the good schemes. It has to be, because both teams, less so the Packers, but both teams are kind of, we know what we're going to get out of them. We know Josh Jacobs is going to get 25 touches. We know Tucker Kraft on third down is going to produce. So we just got to see coaching and how they scheme against that. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the year in that sense, if you like that stuff. But I don't think it's going to be super high scoring like previous games. So I think Green Bay wins, but I'm not surprised if Pittsburgh wins. It's like very close for me.
Yeah, I'm in that. I think if it comes down, obviously nobody's probably better at, and I know there's stats against this point, but nobody's better in my mind with a drive and an opportunity. So Aaron Rodgers, if he gets that chance, I think he will relish that chance, and I think he will take advantage of it. But I don't know if it's going to come down to that. I think 3.5 points is probably a good line. I think we're unanimous on Green Bay. All right, well, we got a kind of a dud to talk about. Not a lot to talk about in the Monday night game. Honestly, there might be a backup quarterback in Washington facing a red-hot Patrick Mahomes. So if it's anything like last week, Patrick will score 80 and then sit down for the third quarter and enjoy the game and have some nachos. You know what I mean? This one's just the 9.5-point favorites at Arrowhead. Again, any given Sunday, but I think we're united that it's a very slim chance that the Commanders, who already have their caveat of problems, not knowing what to do with Deebo Samuel, is he healthy? McLaurin potentially out. Number 5 not suiting up this week likely because of his hamstring. So, any feedback from this game at all, or is it just going to be a blowout?
I think the Cowboys kind of gave not the blueprint because it's pretty obvious, but the way to cover this receiving core with great cover corners that they already have. I mean, this is a better secondary than the Cowboys presently. They're a better defense, of course, allowing less yards and points. But Marcus Mariota with the same slew of fellas out there, it's probably not going to happen. So
yeah, I don't see a whole lot of hope for Washington. I'm sorry, we live in the capital area, so to speak, as far as football team loyalty, and I don't see it, y'all. I don't. Tim, I like your take that obviously Green Bay Pittsburgh. I know you're not being a homer, but it is probably one of the more exciting games. For sure, that it's going to be on the schedule this week. I do think Dallas and Denver, also not being a homer, because when you think about games like Tennessee and Indianapolis, to me, Tennessee and Indianapolis is as bad as it gets.
Right.
That's look up Jonathan Taylor's stat line against the Titans, and that'll tell you who's going to win the game.
Well, it's funny to me, Caleb, you say that, but like all of a sudden Daniel Jones comes. And he's doing great. I mean, I think, we all owe him an apology. I tell everyone I meet, like, you owe Daniel Jones an apology. I'm just trying to be funny about it. But here's the real person to own just an apology. Shane Steichen owns everyone an apology for not running Jonathan Taylor like he's finally done this year. I got so tired of watching other running backs split the ball with arguably the greatest running back of this current generation. He's good, y'all. He's that good. And
he's
Josh,
Hall of Fame caliber good.
Oh, he's a generational running back, and he's as good as it gets. He can catch, he can block. Just watch any footage on Jonathan Taylor, and you're seeing one of the very best to quietly. He reminds me of Barry Sanders in his disposition, that he's just very unassuming. Doesn't matter if they win or lose. He comes to work. He doesn't complain. He doesn't cry. He just does the same thing. And he's only got a few more years. Barry only played 9 years, to have that type of career. But Jonathan Taylor is finally getting the snaps that he deserves at his position. So that's fun to watch. We've all been big fans of Baker Mayfield, watching him go to, several teams before landing here. And it hurts to watch him not have the weapons that he needs to win football games. But at 5-2, they're doing pretty doggone good, so they're not doing bad. And it's good to see that Patrick Mahomes is who we that's probably the biggest question, Josh, that I got week in and week out from people asking me, what's up with the Chiefs? What's up with the Chiefs? And I keep saying the same thing. Hang in there, guys. Hang in there. The first 4 or 5 games are a wash. We don't learn much about the teams until we get to where we are now, and we're starting to see an identity if you're healthy. So, Josh, any other matchup before we wrap, Caleb, that you guys really like this week that you are looking forward to the most? We've already said Dallas and Denver, Green Bay and Pittsburgh are going to be great matchups. Caleb, you really like the Browns and Patriots, you said. You said that's a good one.
It should be good. Both good defenses, both good coaches, in my opinion. I know Stefanski gets a lot of heat, a lot of hot seat issue talk, but he was coach of the year a few years ago there. Man, I mean, I'm a homer, not really, but I love Mike Vrabel. I'm not a homer. I just love him. I think
great coach.
He's doing great things there. It's unfortunate, like Josh was saying, that Henderson's not getting touches, but I say it every week. We saw Derrick Henry in a committee with Deion Lewis with Vrabel on the floor, so it's not a surprise that he's not getting touches, but it's painful for fantasy. But the Browns, that game is exciting because I don't know what's going to happen. The Browns defense is very good. They hung with the Packers. They hang with everyone they play with. They just beat the Dolphins. I know they're not that great, but it's literally a coin flip. I think that'll be. Yeah. It's a tight game. I don't know. I've been saying tight too much tonight. That's tight.
That's true. It is
tight. Yeah. No, it's going to be good, y'all.
I'm excited for A.J. Brown versus the Giants. We saw what they did last week. We saw his 4 catches for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. I talking about a team that plays man coverage. There's an opportunity for big plays against the Giants secondary. As we saw, they allowed 33 points in last week's game in the fourth quarter. So it's possible. I'm excited to see it from the Eagles receivers.
Yeah.
One guy I will say, this might whiff, and y'all can joke me, but I think one of the biggest underdogs for fantasy this week to start and feel confident is Evan Ingram. He's really poised now in this offense. He's getting high-end target share in this offense. And Dallas, their linebackers, and they have a rookie safety filling in, aren't great at covering. And Evan Ingram's going to eat up the middle of the field the whole game. I think we're going to focus on Sutton and focus on the run game, stopping that. So Evan Ingram will probably be open in the zone more often than not. Unfortunately, in this game, he might be their best receiver in this game. So
interesting to see what kind of contribution Overshawn will have coming back at linebacker. Like that could be, like you said, could be he's good in coverage as a linebacker. We can see. I say this every week.
Right?
What's that?
He's not cleared for this week, Overshawn.
That's a great question. Is he not, Josh?
Not yet.
Not yet. I know he's
my start of the week.
He's running around practicing, or he's out on the practice field. At least I've seen him. I will say this too. I typically look right in the camera, but you guys, listen. It almost got me this week. If you have players that play for Arizona, Detroit, Jacksonville, L.A. Rams, Las Vegas, Seattle, all those teams have a bye. So listen, take those guys out your roster. I know they light up red on your joint, but still pay attention, y'all, because it's easy to, like, I've played guys, and y'all have too, where you go and it's like no game, and you're like, well, they got their quarterback in there who's on a bye week. Take advantage of them, but be smart. If you have anyone on those teams, take them out. Now we're into the short weeks, I call it, where we don't have 16 games. We have we're 3 short. We have 13 games, for example. So you got to be very judicial on your fantasy teams. Look at your people. I had to make some cuts today to make room for some other players, because the bye weeks are now starting to be not just 1 or 2 or 3 teams. They're 5 and 6 bye week. Going into the next few weeks. So be smart, people. Hey, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, the Guys Without Helmet podcast is available. Of course, we are on YouTube. So anywhere you want to reach us, you can get us at Guys Without Helmet. We'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. I think we need to, guys. We teased last week. Let's jump in and talk about coaches. Let's do a little short episode and talk about coaches this week. If we have any time, it'd be great. Just a few minutes. Because I think someone told me yesterday, literally said to me right to my face, like, hey, they just fired Mike McDaniel. I'm like, what are you on? And, well, this is Adam Schefter. And what did you say jokingly, Josh? Did you say Adam Scheffler? Because it's fake news.
That's the big one.
So many, and I'm going to warn some of our listeners too, because I'm into this problem. So many times, I get hustled NFL pages to follow on suggestions. And 9 times out of 10, it's all fake bloated news. So stay away from those things. Stick with, reliable sources, especially on social media, because you're going to get a ton of news. It's just not true. Yeah. Dallas is not trading for Max Crosby. Okay, just stop. You know what I'm saying?
He's hurt.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it literally got an alert today, like, ooh, follow our page. It's like, well, tell me something real, and maybe you have a chance. And it's exciting, y'all. A lot's gonna go down. I know a lot of teams are suffering with injuries, and the trade deadline's looming, so we're gonna have a lot to talk about these next 2 weeks. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys off the hook, but we appreciate all you guys tuning in. Again, give us a like, follow, subscribe. It does help us out, and we'll see you next time on Guys Without Helmets.